So recap. We already talked about the recap of chapter 1. So the key 3 messages. Number 1, there would be some situation in life. There is going to be some situation in life. Don't think that it is over. In front of that, we get perplexed. Today, it might be a professional problem. Tomorrow, definitely it's going to be a health issue. Nobody is supposed to live more than 120 years. One point of the other, you may have health issues, you may have social issues, you may have all these issues. And any problem demands 2 types of solution. One is an emotional solution, and second one is the solution for the problem. Remember, in the 2nd chapter we said, what was Krishna doing in the first 3 verses? He tried to do an emotional treatment, like a pep talk, which is important. If you just give the solution without that emotional support, that won't work. I told you several examples where you may give logically the whole solution, but the person will keep on giving you the same problem. Look at children. He or she needed a hug, right? Without that, you cannot just address the problem with the brain alone. That won't be good. Third point is, I told an example also. Sometimes we get confused, but we don't realize that we are confused. That is very dangerous. Remember, I told you the example of a husband and wife driving. So if you're confused and if you don't know that you're confused, it's a big problem. And if you're confused and if you seek help, that is the right thing to do. So we saw in the 2nd chapter, finally Arjuna realized that he got confused. So what did he do? He surrendered to the teacher. And who was the teacher? None other than Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna, he surrendered. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Please teach me. I am your disciple. And what did he ask for? Shreyas. What is good for us? What is good for me? So at that time, Krishna was so silent till then. He was just listening to what Arjuna spoke, right? All the rules of conversation he followed very diligently. And even the first conversation he had was only a pep talk. So when Arjuna said, I am your disciple, please take care of me, Sanjaya said, that is what we saw in the last session. He said, Tam uvacha Rishikeshaha. Means Sanjaya said, Eva muktva Rishikesham Budhakesha Paramtapaha Nayotsya iti Govindam Uktva Tushnim Bahuvacha. Having said this, he sat on the chariot and he said, I won't fight. But he surrendered to the right person. So I told you, right? All of you need to have somebody whom you can at least openly talk. It could be your spouse. Or it could be somebody who won't judge you. Typically what people does, before you give out the problem, they start judging you. So blessed are those who has such a friend or such a brother or such a sister or such a spouse. Build up one. Okay, so now let's see. So now Krishna is going to give the solution. Verse 10, Sanjaya describes. So,
Tamuvacha Hrishikeshaha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor madhye Vishidantamidam vachaha.
Tamuvacha Hrishikeshaha Prahasanniva Bharata Senayorubhayor madhye Vishidantamidam vachaha. So, Tam uvacha. Then uvacha means said. Then said. Who said? Hrishikeshaha. Who is Hrishikeshaha? Lord Krishna, but look at the context sensitivity. Rishikanam Ishaha, the Lord of all sense organs, the one who has complete control over his mind and senses. And who is crying in front of him? Arjuna, who was collapsed. Collapsed means who do not have any control. So he surrendered to a person who has complete control over. So Tam uvacha Rishikesha. Then Rishikesha, Lord Krishna, who has complete control over the mental activities or sense organs, he spoke. O Bharata. So Sanjaya is addressing Dhritarashtra. Means he's telling this to Dhritarashtra. Dhritarashtra is addressed here as Bharata. Bharata means the descendant of King Bharata. I told you about Bharata. Bharata put a tradition in the country. What was that?
Elected.
Yeah. The next, see, the whole, if you want to understand, you want to understand Bharata. Mahabharata cannot be understood. Understand? You cannot understand Mahabharata without understanding Bharata. Bharata is the son of Dushyant and Shakuntala. The country got the name Bharat because it is ruled by Bharata. That is one meaning, right? So Bharata, he found that all his children are useless. Not useless meaning not fit for leading the country. So he didn't put his son as the next king. He picked up somebody from outside and he put a rule. What is that? The right for the throne is not by birth but by eligibility, capability. And this rule was followed without any issues up to a point. And up to a point, what happened? This rule was broken by somebody. And there started the problem. Who broke this rule? If you know the story, Bhishma. Bhishma broke this rule. How? He said, the child that is going to be born for Satyavati and Shantanu is going to be the king. How can he decide that? How can he decide his eligibility? So that's where the problem started. So that is why it is addressed as Bharata, because descendant of Bharata means it is really, really something proud of. So, O Bharata, what did he do? Means Prahasanniva. Has means what?
Smile.
Laugh. Prahasanniva means a special laugh, a smile. Krishna, how did he address? Imagine the fellow is broken down and talking to him. So Krishna is smiling and talking to him. So Prahasanniva Bharata. To whom? Senayor Upayor Madhye. Means in the middle of Sena means army. Upayor Madhye, between the two armies. Vishidantam. What type of person he is talking to? One who is sunk in sorrow. So to that person, Rishikesha spoke these words as if smiling. So that's what English also you can see. To him who was thus despondent in the midst of the two armies, O Bharata, as though smiling, Rishikesha then spoke these words. Go and listen to this chanting. It is beautiful. Swamiji did a wonderful job. So you can go to Arshabodha YouTube channel. I'll post that in the group. Brilliantly chanted. So the Lord of sense organs, Rishikesha, as though smiling, spoke these words. One good thing in life is when you feel that helpless, when you feel that every source is gone, if you have faith in that Almighty. I don't have any logic. I have seen that many times. You will get it. Miracles will happen and things will be in place. So this is just a lesson. So let's see. So Lord Krishna, the first point here is he is the master of the situation. And what was Arjuna? He was a victim of the situation. So this is the difference between a mature person and an evolved person and a person, normal people like us. We all are wonderful, cultured, nice when things are so good. But when we are pushed against the wall, what happens? We lose our patience, we lose a lot of things. So this is one basic human problem. But Krishna, he is described as Yogeshwara, the Lord of all the yoga. Yoga means control. He is the master of control, all the control here. So he is going to help us to gain a peaceful, happy, contented and efficient life through his teaching. And mind you, the problem Arjuna was facing was 1,000 times more than any problem we can imagine, right? he's going to see all of his relatives die in front of him. And even his own life, there is no guarantee. So that's a very dangerous situation. A civil war is the most difficult place to be in. So he is known as Logeshwara. He is the master of all situation. And what he is going to give us is a solution for the most fundamental problem in life. So he is going to give us a view and a way of life. It's kind of a lifestyle change program. He is going to prescribe a lifestyle by which you can be happy, efficient, and free from all sorrows. This is a big promise. So, his smile. Couple of points, right? It indicates that complete control over the situation. He is not confused and he is in a perfect and balanced mental state. Have you ever thought, if you are not in a perfect and balanced and controlled state, you won't get that natural smile. Imitated smile may come out, but if you want to naturally smile, that shows. Psychology books you can read. A natural smile is an indication of your mental state. So natural smile cannot come in a distressed mental state. That is for sure. Second one is, whenever and wherever there is a tremendous self-control and self-restraint. Look at that word. This is a word used by Vivekananda. Exact same word he has used. Whenever there is a tremendous amount of self-control, the mind becomes spontaneous and natural. It's a big sentence. Just think through one more time. When you have complete control and relax, the mind becomes spontaneous and natural. And that is the time only the creativity comes to you. Imagine Archimedes. He was put under the sword and he could not find that out. When did he found out? When he could not find out anything until he went to that bathtub. Mary Curie, that famous discovery, right? She was writing it and then she went to sleep. Morning she got up, she found that somebody else filled in. She herself filled in, but in a relaxed state. The structure of benzene, it came in dream. Hundreds of examples. And why not? Like the modern example, the composition of Vande Mataram by A.R. Rahman. This happened in a spontaneous way. Baskin Ridge, I always give that example. Adrienne Weiss, the designer, she could not figure out the Baskin Ridge logo for weeks after weeks. Finally, she gave up and she went to a beach for relaxation. At that time, she realized, okay, there are 31 different kinds of ice cream they sell there. So she came up with that wonderful logo, 31. If you go and look at the Baskin Ridge, you will figure out that 31. And this became the best brand. So this is natural. And this smile is a characteristic of Krishna. Have you ever seen in Krishna's life he's crying? Rama, you can see he cries. But Krishna, he never cries.
Confidence also.
Yeah, it's that thing. And he confronts the problem. And it is not that Krishna's life was free of problem. Right from the birth, the day of birth till the last day. And what was his last day? All his family members were fighting and collapsed. The most difficult life one can imagine. Every master, if you look at Jesus Christ, they were lashing him with, and he was smiling. He said, my God, these fellows don't know what they are doing. Please forgive them. Without that control, you cannot say that.
Sikh gurus also.
Oh,
Sikh gurus.
oh my God, everybody, Guru Gobind Singh or Guru Arjan Dev, and I was reading about Guru Gobind Singh, like this, his father, dad was summoned by the emperor. Emperor summoned means, no, not like that. The Kashmiri Pandits, they came to his dad with a delegation saying that can you talk to emperor and help us? And he knew if we go and talk, he will be killed. So he spoke to Guru Gobind Singh. He said, like, one head has to be given. And he said, it should be Guru's head. Can you imagine 8-year-old boy saying that? And Guru and 5 disciples were brought in front of Aurangzeb. And he said, like, nothing doing, and you all have to convert to Islam. Because if you convert to Islam, everybody will follow that. Guru said, no, I respect Islam, but I have my own way. That's what he said. And you can, means in Delhi Chandni Chowk, first day, the first person was put into boiling water in front of Guru's eyes, to make him show that you will be. And he didn't move at all. And the last day he was killed. He walked to the death with a smile. So this is that power. Ramana Maharshi, during his last moment, somebody was telling like, oh Maharshi, we are going to miss you. And he was laughing. He said, no, I'm not going anywhere. That was that tremendous power.
Even the surgery he underwent without anesthesia.
Yep. So this is what the theme of this verse. So Krishna's smile is very indicative. It indicated complete control over what happened. So now the teaching starts. But before the teaching starts, I just wanted to give you a quick anecdote or one example, and then all of you are interested in Bhagavad Gita. I was also interested in Bhagavad Gita for a long time. And when I took up Bhagavad Gita, I took a commentary of Bhagavad Gita, started reading it. It was not going anywhere. You may understand what is written in the commentary, but you cannot connect the dots. It was just impossible. Forget about Bhagavad Gita. Every scripture is like that. Even if you take Bible or Quran or any such book, it's very hard to connect the dots. So I was struggling, and to adding up the confusion, I thought, okay, let me get, if you don't understand compiler design, what you do, you get 2 or 3 books of compiler design and you read from 1 author to 2 author to 3 author, you get a picture. So I thought, why don't I apply that trick? Got some 4 or 5 commentaries. Oh my God. And sometimes these are contradictory commentaries. A will say X and B will say X complement. So this was the challenge. So then finally, thank God, or somebody's grace, means God's grace or Guru's grace, I learned that a traditional study of the scripture is very important to understand the scripture, because you cannot just take the literal meaning of certain words. It is very context sensitive and it has to be understood in line with the scripture. And we all are indebted to one master for defining a wonderful teaching methodology for Bhagavad Gita and all the Vedanta. That is none other than Adi Shankara. And most of the people don't understand Adi Shankara. They know that, okay, he was a monk, and unfortunately Shankara is actually some set of people just keep Shankara as our own private property. But he is a Jagat Guru. He is a teacher belonging to the entire humanity. So I'll talk 5 minutes about Shankara because it is very important, because Shankaracharya's commentary on Gita starts from now only. He's not even bothering about the previous verses. So Shankaracharya he created, and he is credited for providing a clear commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Before Shankara, Bhagavad Gita was part of the entire Mahabharata, and people don't even notice the Bhagavad Gita. So Shankara, now Shankara's biography, if you take 15 biographies are there for Shankara, and as always, mutually contradicting. So some people say that he was lived in 8th century, some people say that it is 5th, 12th century, but general consensus by the Western scholars and Eastern scholars is around 8th century, early 8th century he lived. That is means around 1200 years back. He was born in a place called Kaladi in Kerala. At the age of 8, he took sannyasa. Now, how he took sannyasa? There are a lot of masalas and inflated stories. And I'm not interested in those type of mysticism and miracles, etc. Because every disciple, when they write the story of a master, they will add little bit extra. So I'm eliminating all that aspects. But at the age of eight, he was means he took sannyasa, and he walked from Kerala all the way to the entire India, and he studied under a capable teacher called Govinda Pada. And this Govinda Pada was a disciple of
Gaudapada.
Gaudapada, right? Gaudapada's disciple. Gaudapada is known for his Karika on Mandukya Upanishad. So he was a very strong Advaita Vedantin, and Sankara was trained under him. So Govinda Pada wanted to test. Sankara is known for his intellectual brilliance. His IQ is said to be really, really high. He's sharp. So everybody noted that, and Govinda Pada wanted to see how much Shankaracharya progressed. So he asked him to write a commentary. What was his first assignment? Anybody knows? Vishnu Sahasranama. So he asked him to write a commentary on Vishnu Sahasranama, and it is said that at the age of 10, he wrote a brilliant commentary of Vishnu Sahasranama. And by the time he became 17, he has written commentaries on Bhagavad Gita, 10 principal Upanishads, and Brahma Sutra. Can you imagine? This is history. And then at the age of 18, he undertook a long journey, Padayatra, from all the part of the country he traveled. And at the age of 32, he passed away. It is said that at Kedarnath, that is where he disappeared. Those things are masalas, okay? I don't want to comment on that. But his lifespan was only 32 years. Can you imagine? In modern times, one person even may not become matured by that time. So at the age of 17, 18, he wrote this commentary on Gita. And that is what we are struggling to study. So this picture, the picture you saw on the top, that's a picture drawn by Raja Ravi Verma. Have you heard of Raja Ravi Verma? One of the brilliant painters of artist of modern India. He did that. Sankara with his 4 disciples. So Sankara, we have to salute Sankara before we study the Bhagavad Gita. So now, before getting into the verse, I wanted to introduce a small piece of commentary of Shankaracharya also. So Sankara starts his commentary by writing a brilliant introduction. That introduction in Sanskrit is called Upodkhadam. Have you heard of that? The name? Upodkhadam. That is the introduction. So how he starts is brilliant. I don't want to bore you with a lot of Sanskrit commentaries, but I'll just quote 1 or 2 sentences. If you want, I have the whole stuff here. Shankara's commentary. So first point he starts is Narayana Parovyaktad Andam Avyakta Sambhavam Andasyantasya me loka Saptadvipacha Medini. I just wanted to quote only these 4 lines and just the theme of his introduction. So he tells Narayana. Who is Narayana? That is the literal meaning. So, sorry, the implied meaning. Like people think that somebody is sitting in an ocean and lying down. That is not. Nara means what? Human being. Ayana means what? Destination. Destination also. So the ultimate destination of all human being is Narayana. The cause of all human being is Narayana. The absolute reality of the universe is called Narayana. And he tells how the universe got evolved. He said, the absolute reality is the Adhisthana or the independent cause of the universe. Absolute reality. And he says, from the absolute reality, an undifferentiated universe comes out. Avyakta. Undifferentiated universe. And then from the undifferentiated universe, what happens? The differentiated universe comes out. Look at modern physics. Singularity. Have you heard of that? Before black hole, what happens? Singularity is a place where all the laws of physics cease to exist. Right? It won't work. That state is called avyakta. So Narayana Paro Vyaktat Andam Avyakta Sambhavam. The cosmic egg, the differentiated cosmic egg was born out of the Avyakta. Andasyantasime Loka. In that differentiated universe, the entire universe is there. And our earth, our beloved earth, is part of that differentiated universe. Andasyami Loka Sapta Deepacha Medini. Medini means earth, is a part of that differentiated universe. And what is the characteristics of this earth?
7 seas.
7 continents. The earth with its 7 continents is part of this universe. This is what Shankaracharya said. And then he say, like, once the universe is emerged out from that absolute reality, I'm just going to give in 2 sentences and finish it, because I just wanted to show the intellectual brilliance and clarity of his vision. So he starts with that. It is not that somebody created the world, let the world be there, the world created. Not at all. The way he explained is still stands strong in front of all the modern discovery. Paro, he tells, like, once the world got created, not created, the word, he doesn't use the word creation. He said projected or manifested. Once the world manifested, he wanted to ensure that the human beings are progressing. So the Ishvara defined 2 dharmas. One is called pravritti dharma, the other one is called nivritti dharma. One is the life of action and the other one is the life of contemplation. So an ideal life per Shankara is, you cannot sit idle. You have to work hard. At the very same time, you have to turn inward also. So the combination of pravritti and nivritti, he tells, it is going to bring, he tells, the exact word is praninam sakshat apyudaya nishreyasa heduhu. If you follow this in combination, the life of karma yoga and the life of means the renunciation or the meditation, contemplation, what is going to happen? It will lead you to apyudaya. Apyudaya means econo-social welfare. And nishreyas means what? It is freedom from all sufferings, ideal life. And then he continues, like, this rule was established. And as a result, what happened? Society went very well. But over a period of time, any rule, what is going to happen? Disorder will come. Entropy. The disorder will come, right? And this started. Why? Because the practitioners become corrupted. Isn't it? In the modern age also it is happening. Like, those who is supposed to teach us all these things, they got corrupted. They never studied by themselves and they started giving wrong information to others. So what happens? When this got corrupted, this dharma was impacting. And when this dharma impacts to a certain level, what is going to happen? A correction has to happen. Something has to happen. Swami Vivekananda, I would request all of you to go and read one lecture of Swami Vivekananda. You can Google it, you can read it online. This lecture is called My Master. Have you heard of that lecture? My Master. So, unbelievable. He starts that lecture by quoting this. Whenever there is a imbalance in the universal order, the divine will come and do a correction. The language he has used is amazing. I love that language. He tells, whenever this world of ours, underline, whenever this world of ours, he cites 2 reasons. Needs an adjustment. Needs an adjustment. And this adjustment is required. It could be based on 2 reasons. One is on the account of growth. Because initially you had an order, but the universe has evolved and got into a different level. On the account of growth or on the account of changed some circumstances. Brilliant, right? One is on the account of growth or on account of changed circumstances. At that point, at that time, what is going to happen? The divine will manifest. So Shankaracharya also tells, at that time, what happens? From time to time, different masters will come and do that correction. And that's a constant characteristics that otherwise this Vedic Dharma, which was 5,000-year-old, would not have survived. And it need not be in a Hindu India form, right? It can happen anywhere. A Christ or a Muhammad or a Buddha, all these masters from different parts of the universe. And you may not even recognize him when he is around. And he may not be a social reformer also. But from him, hundreds of social work evolve. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa didn't do anything. But look at Ramakrishna Mission now. Thousands of social projects has evolved after him. Jesus Christ didn't create even a school. But from inspired by him, hundreds and thousands of work is happening around the world. So that's the beauty of the avatara. And avatara means, ava means what? Coming down. Like, so the Lord, the universal intelligence is manifesting himself in the earth to inspire and correct the system. And that work an ordinary human being cannot perform. Let's start this again, that's fine. So that work an ordinary person cannot do. And Shankaracharya say, at a point of time in the history, what happened? This order was disturbed, and at that time a correction was needed. And that correction was initiated. The Lord, Supreme Lord, manifested in the world in the form of a Jagat Guru, Krishna. And he imparted this teaching to Arjuna. So this is what the Upodghata, 2-page introduction. I'll put some videos of it later offline, but it means this is not a Shankara Bhashya class, so we don't want to do that. And then actually he comes to the verse 11. So up to verse 11, Shankara is known for his brilliance. One thing he always says is that if you understood a subject, 2 characteristics he always mentioned. One is you should be able to write thousands of pages about that. Second thing is what? You should be able to condense it in very few words. Einstein, the whole relativity he summarized into what? One equation. And he wrote books after books. Erwin Schrödinger, the most complicated equation in the whole physics, I still don't understand that. The Schrödinger equation. How he condensed it, the whole thing into one equation. It's amazing. And he could write pages after pages after that. So, whatever we covered so far, from chapter 1, 47 verses, chapter 2, 10 verses, 57 verses. How many words Shankaracharya took to summarize? Can you imagine? I'm going to read out that word for you, but he just summarized it in one word. One word. Shankaracharya summarized, that is his brilliance. He summarized whatever we studied in 18 sessions in one word. In 21st century, it took 18 hours for me to communicate that. He summarized it in one word. One beauty of Sanskrit is what? You can create a compound word. You can combine individual words to create a compound word. And compound means like you can create shoka, moha, adi. Like, so what happens is Sanskrit or all the Indian language has two major construct you need to study. One is called Sandhi and the other one is called Samasa. What is Sandhi? Joining two words. So the spelling may change, the pronunciation may change. So that is what is Sandhi. In Western language you don't have that. And what is Samasa? A compound word, how you can interpret it. That is Samasa. So using the Samasa, you may have multiple meaning for one word. I told one example, remember? Remember one example I told you? Rameshwara. So if you use Samasa A, say Ramasishwara. Who is that? Shiva. Second meaning of interpretation is what? He for whom Rama is the Ishwara. It's again Shiva, but you arrived at Shiva through a different route. Third meaning is what?
Ram is the Ishvara.
Rama the Ishvara. The meaning is Rama. And the fourth meaning is what? Rama and Ishvara. That means Rama and Shiva. So depending upon that, you get different meaning. So let's see what exactly Shankaracharya said. Before that, let me just try to connect this. Today's whole technical issues. Okay, so Shankaracharya in his commentary, it's lot of pages commentaries means he has written. So you can see this. These are all Shankara's introduction. Shankara's introduction and my notes after that. So it's a lot. Because Shankara's commentary is simple, but our references is what is making these pages. So is
He wrote it in one word.
yeah, he put it in one words, but all these are his notes. So let me tell you that one word.
How long ago did you make these notes?
Sometime back. The whole up to 12 verses is one 500-page notebook. You can imagine. Okay, so Shankara uses one word. One word is Shoka Mohadi Samsara Bija Bhuta Doshat Bhavakaranaha. Shoka Mohadi Samsara Bija Bhuta Doshat Bhavakaranaha. He said, what you are seeing is a demonstration of a human being. The demonstration of a human problem. What is that human problem? Shoka, Moha, Mohadi, Samsara, Bija Bhuta Doshat, Bhavakaranaha. So it's a demonstration of the fundamental human problem born out of what? Emotional overwhelming, okay? And the delusion born out of that emotional overwhelming, and which makes him incapable of facing the situation. Look at that. That's exactly what the problem is. Okay, tomorrow a layoff comes to me. What happens? Anxiety builds on me. When that anxiety builds on me, I find myself perplexed in front of the problem. I am capable of finding a job, but that mental state will prevent me from taking the next steps. So Shankaracharya tells that is Shoka Mohadi Samsara Bija Bhuta Dosha. This is the root cause of all the human problem. In other words, Shankaracharya is saying, what he is saying is that you X may have a health problem. What is going to, that health problem is going to create? Shoka Mohadi problem. And delusion, the cancer treatment. It is clear that if you are positive, the treatment will work more. But most of the people, what happens? Negative. Again, why? Shoka Mohadi Samsara Bija Bhuta. That is a problem. So another person, what is means? One thing I recently found out is, especially the Indian parents, one struggle is when their kid is about to marry. You want him to marry the person you want, which is impossible. That creates the samsara problem. Correct? Third one, professional problem, personal problem. Problems might be a variable, but how that problem affects the human being, that is what Shankaracharya tells. It is the same thing. Look at the brilliance of the master 1200 years back. Imagine, the psychology has not even developed at that time. And there is nothing more psychology than this. So he tells the trigger is a variable, but how the trigger impacts a human being is the same. Your health problem, his financial problem, and third person's social problem, and my emotional problem, what happened to me in childhood. All these things could manifest in the same way. It can create emotional imbalance in you, and the moment you have emotional imbalance, you get deluded. You speak words you should not be speaking, right? You do things. Some people, even your spouse will say, right? How can you? I cannot believe that it is you uttered that words. And you are responding to something you are seeing which she is not seeing. And your teen responding to you. And somebody who is diagnosed with a terminal disease, whatever is this, see, two things we need to understand. The problem is a variable from person to person. Your problem may be different from my problem. His problem may be different from her problem. But the response from the mind is the same. Second thing is, for my own sake, as a child, my problems were different. As an adult, my problems are totally different. So this is what Shankara tells. So sorry, I took a little bit extra time in giving a background of Shankara. And I'm going to give a little bit. So Shankara's commentary is the commentary we need to follow diligently, because in my research, I have gone through at least 20 different versions of Gita. In my research, there is no commentary that can give the clarity of Shankara's commentary, even in modern age. No master can give a clarity of Shankara. So you can understand his brilliance. Imagine a 17-year-old boy writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita to this clarity. You will be perplexed to see a 17-year-old boy writing, a teen, writing these words. Shoka, Mohadi, Samsara, Bija, Dosha, Bhavakaranaha. And he tells, right, this, what happens, this Shoka, Mohadi, it creates a problem. He tells, Apiphuda, Viveka, Vijnana. That is the problem. When this happens, what is going to happen to you is, when this emotional imbalance happens, you get deluded, and as a result, Abhibhuda Viveka Vijnana. Your discrimination and your knowledge will be overridden. So people wonder why, how this person who is educated this much can behave like this. But what happened? The Shoka and Moha has overwhelmed what? His Viveka Vijnana Hetu. That's these two words, Shankaracharya, with these two words, he brilliantly introduced the subject. So it's 6 o'clock. We may not be able to start the next verse, but we can start, but we can cover a few other topics, meaning we can discuss one or two, any other questions you have. So just so this fundamental problem, remember when you say fundamental problem, it need not be Rajesh's problem or Kumar's problem or Rohitji's problem. It should be a common human problem. So what Shankaracharya in his introduction is saying is that if you expect that Gita is going to solve your financial problem or excess health problem or wise emotional issues, no. Gita is going to give you the solution, meaning how you can face that problem. That's all Gita is going to give you. So then one Israeli president, I forgot his name, I think Benjamin Peres, the 9th president of Israel, he made a very powerful statement once. He said, a problem is a problem when you don't have any solution for it. So powerful, right? A problem is a problem when you don't have solution for it. So Krishna, what he is going to give us is an antidote which can be applied to any problems of life. That's what we need to see in the verse 11 onwards. So we will cover verse 11 and 3 more verses next week. But we can probably not 3 more verses. We can go only to 1 or 2 verses in the next 1 or 2 sessions, because we need to understand some fundamentals, because three orders of reality we need to understand, and you need to understand whom are you identifying with. These are a couple of points we are going to talk. So the first chapter of the Gita, as I said, it's a problem statement. The second chapter of the Gita is what? What you need to do to achieve that why. Goals. It is a summary of the entire thing, right? So I said like a project needs three things: why, what, and how. So chapter 3 to chapter 18 is what? The how. Chapter 17 to be precise. And chapter 18 is a recap of the entire thing. So this why, what, how management principle is diligently followed in Gita. Second thing is, what is the way of modern presentation? You start with an introduction, you go elaborate the thought, and finally you do a recap. So the second chapter is the introduction, 3 to 17 is the elaboration, and finally chapter 18 is recap. Third point. So what we are trying to solve is, Krishna is going to say that you don't need to be emotionally overwhelmed with any circumstances in the world. Whatever happens in the world, you should be under control. Shankaracharya, in his commentary, means I cannot quote Shankara. He tells like, if you think that you will die in the next 5 minutes, what typically a person do?
Just panic.
He's already dead. That 5 minutes is gone. Shankaracharya, if you follow this, at least that 5 minutes will be available to you. Right? So he presents this in three different angles. One is highly Vedantic angle. What is the nature of the absolute? Second one is a pure logical angle, just like the argument I said, right? So what is the point in crying for something that is inevitable? It's stupid. That's what he tells. And then he understands what is your like illusionary angle. Even from a worldly perspective, he explains this. Krishna. He is going to use these three arguments. So that is what is from verse 11 to 38. He talks about the knowledge part. From three different point of view, he explains that you don't need to be. Sorrow is fine, but extreme sorrow, which is affecting your balance, is the problem. And then he tells from verse 39 to 53, he tells, if I say that this is the prescription for your disease, and imagine that prescription is nowhere available in the world, what is the use of such advice? Correct? So he tells what exactly you have to do to gain this mental stability. Samatvam, that is what you have. So he gives a technique, and he names that technique as yoga. So yoga is the practical lifestyle by which you can gain this inner stability. So the first part, which is verse 11 to 38, is known as Samkhya. It's not the Sankhya philosophy of Kapila. It is different. It is Sankhya means it is logic. Sankhya means what? 1, 2, 3. Naturally, what would be next? 4. It's logical. So this Krishna's thought is exactly like that. It follows that logic. So verse 11 to 38 is Samkhya, which is the knowledge about yourself from three different angles. Then from verse 39 to 53 is yoga, popularly the misinterpreted yoga, right? And then 53 to 72 is Arjuna got a doubt. Then he tells, suppose I gain this mental stability, am I going to become indifferent to the world? When my 1-year-old child comes and smiles at you, am I going to be like a stone? Then I don't need it, right? Krishna tells, no, you will be more loving, more caring. You will be more valuable to the world if you follow that. and he brilliantly enumerates the characteristics of a man of steady wisdom. It is known as Sthita Prajna Lakshana. So these are the three major topics in the third chapter. So the four topics are there. First topic is the problem statement recapped from verse 1 to verse 10. Problem statement recapped and the emotional solution of the problem is given. Verse 11 to 38 is the knowledge, why you don't need to be emotionally overwhelmed. Verse 39 to 53 is the lifestyle change by which you can gain that mental stability. And then from verse 54 to 72 is, 54 is Arjuna's question. The teaching is the last 18 verses, which is the 55 to 73, is the characteristics of a man of steady wisdom. So this is what the theme of the second chapter. And third chapter onwards, each of these topics are individually picked and drilled down, deep dived. And 18th chapter, you will come back and recap again. So this is the thought. Any other questions? I spent more time than Shankaracharya than I thought. I was planning to cover one more verse, so we are behind one verse. So next week we have to catch up. But I thought I have to share that experience because I'm sure most of you might have had that experience of trying to read Gita's commentary and getting no. I'll try to cover as much as possible. Means whatever we do are in line with Shankara's commentary. So that much I can guarantee. So that means this is a traditional teaching in a different style. So people think like the language we use and all, it's very modern. So they think that it is completely away from the tradition. Absolutely not. This is we are grounding ourselves on tradition, but only the language is different.